Hello, everybody. My name is Roxanne, and welcome into my channel. This is Alchemy of Acrimony, and welcome back. This is actually part two. Part one is a video that I made prior to this one. It's not long. It's a short one because I did schedule a live stream for 9 o'clock a.m. where I'm at, and so that I didn't want to be too late jumping on that scheduled live. So when I hopped on that one. That one was more of a chat in the beginning, and then I ended with Oracle, the Pink World Oracle. And so I wanted to dive further into that and just pull the Oracle and finish the video out. But then I realized I didn't have my glasses, and I always do that to myself. And then I had just woke up, so I was still in bed, and it was really dark in there, and I didn't feel too comfortable. I wanted to get myself together and get my coffee because that was the whole point. It was morning coffee with me. And so I didn't have my coffee, I didn't have my glasses. I was just not prepared. I had just literally got up and popped out of bed. And so yeah, so actually no, I was still in bed, but what I'm saying is I had just literally woke up. And so yeah, so I decided to pop out of bed to do the part 2 for you guys because I did shuffle on the live before. So if you didn't catch the shuffle and you want to see the shuffle, you could go back and catch the shuffle and the chat. The chat was pretty important. So I didn't know if I was going to start off with that. I didn't know if I wanted to talk about that. And so when I woke up this morning, the first thing I thought about was the events that took place yesterday. And so it was a pretty good weekend for myself. And so the chat, if you want to hop onto my first video before this one, the part one, that was about just giving you a little bit more insight into the dynamics of my divorce. And then I go on to talk about some things that happened yesterday and unfolded. And, the outcome was really great. I learned a lot about myself yesterday, and I'm actually really, really happy. And it's putting me in a really, really, really good spirits today. So I went to bed with a smile on my face. I woke up with a smile on my face, and I also had it on my mind. So I was like, you know what? Probably need to share this, as an uplifting message for those of you that are, went through something similar to my divorce where maybe you lost family members, and then with that divorce, people that just took sides and decided to side with this person or the other, and then you lose family members and people because of that. And so I talked a little bit more about that in my video prior, the part one. And so the outcome to all of that, the healing that took place for me, was a big realization yesterday. And so I was sharing that in the prior video. And so okay, on that prior video, the part one, I was going to close out with Oracle, but like I said, I didn't have my glasses and I was kind of in the dark. I did turn the light on, but it's really hard because these cards are hard to read. Coffee with Jack, my favorite mug, as you all know. If you know, you know. And so when I did the cards and did the shuffle, I realized that, okay, don't have glasses. It's a little bit still too dark. And these are a lot of cards that came out. And I was not about to sit there and struggle through that, trying to figure this out for you guys and mess up the words and really not know what I'm talking about or saying because I'm just, getting all the words wrong because I can't see. So I didn't want to do that to you guys. And then I wanted to shift out of there because it was a little bit too dark. I had to I jumped in the shower real quick and popped on my fit for today because I do have to go to work in a while. So yeah, I just wanted to do all that, at least, freshen up, do the whole 9 yards, and then pop back on here. So now I think I'm set. I have my coffee, I have Jack with me, I have what you call it, I have all my things, I think, that I may need, and definitely my beautiful candles burning right there next to the sunshine. She sold seashells by the seashore. My candles are burning by the sun. That's really pretty. They're right by my window. And so, for those of you that know, I absolutely love candles. And so if you know, you know. Okay, so we are gonna, because this is a lot of cards that popped out, I did save them in the box separately. I put them inside the lid of the box to separate them from the rest of the Oracle deck. The rest of the Oracle deck is right here. But I separated the two because I didn't want to mix all that up, because that was a lot of cards that popped out, and I wanted to really separate what came out, because if you noticed in the first video, the shuffle landed right on my keyboard, the whole thing, like the deck just went whoosh. And so I said, okay, you really want to speak. And so as I kept, when I scooped up the cards, did the whole, pulled out whatever had to go, they were literally flying out on their own. And so a lot flew out. Actually, how much is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, actually 8. I think I said, well, 6, 8. Yeah. 6, 7, 8. So, but anywho, yeah, I'm actually really hungry. So if you hear my stomach jumping and growling, that's that. But I am very hungry, and I don't know. It's just this whole weekend I've been really like craving things that I shouldn't eat. But you know what? It was the weekend, and I pretty much take care of myself most of the week, and I didn't want to deprive myself, because that's really not a good outcome when you do that to yourself. So I did indulge, and it was a nice event that I went to, so I did indulge, definitely, especially at that treat table. Oh, that treat table had chocolate, and I love chocolate. Chocolate is so beautiful. I don't know where I'd be at in life if it wasn't for chocolate. Chocolate is one of my go-tos for many, 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 many things. So yeah, I love chocolate. Okay, so let's jump into this. So the first card we got here at the bottom is Punk Bliss. Okay, Punk Bliss. So we're gonna go into that. Embrace joy in small moments. I kind of feel, okay, so I got a quick download. I kind of feel, because so many came out for you guys, that these are supposed to be just really quick, fun messages for you. So just take all of these messages, how they resonate for you, and however you can apply them in your life. Okay. And just have fun, enjoy, and just enjoy the time. And hopefully you have your coffee like I have mine, or your tea, or your whatever it is that you're drinking, your water, your tea, your coffee, your protein, your shakes, your fruit drinks, your juices, and the list goes on, right? On and on and on. Okay. Punk Bliss. Embrace joy in small moments. Take a few minutes to appreciate something simple and beautiful in your day, which is what I did yesterday. I did take the time, and I had a lot of gratitude, and I really, really was feeling that joy right down into the pit of my soul and my spirit. That was my heart was filled with joy yesterday. It was the first video explains more about that topic of why I was happy, and so I'm still happy. And for me, this was seeing how the growth, and just noticing, like, I hurdled a really big moment, and I think I made that moment bigger than what it had to be. But it was just the fact that I had healed so much, I didn't even realize it until yesterday, right? And so the next one is Wild Whisper. Oh, that card looks crazy. I know there's okay, so when I see this card, I know there's some people that do not care for the way this looks. And I forgot what that's called, but it's like a phobia where they don't care for raised things, or I don't know. My daughter kind of has like a little bit of a something with that. I don't know. Or I don't know if she does, or she told me about. I don't think I don't know. But when I seen that's the first thing I thought of. So when I see this, I actually see little candies, and I think it's just because I'm hungry. And I'm still thinking about that treat table from yesterday. That was super good, and I was hanging out by that table a whole lot more than what I should have, but whatever. Listen to your intuition. Pay attention to any gut feelings today and let them guide your decisions. Okay. Pay attention to any gut feelings and let them just guide you through your day today. Okay. Um, for those of you that really work well with your intuition, I know a lot of water signs are really heavy in their intuition. That's a really huge gift for them. And so they use it a lot. So I don't know if I have a lot of water signs out there right now that are listening or about to listen. And so that's a great thing to have because that can really steer you past a lot of things and help you out a lot. Punk Precision, that's a cool card. I like that. That's really pretty. And it says focus on detail in your tasks. Okay. Focus on detail in your tasks. I'm a Virgo. Part of me is a Virgo. We're all part of a lot of signs, right? In the zodiac. But when you pull together your birth chart, you can see that, that's where you see that at. You see there's a lot more to it than just your sun. So part of me is Virgo. Okay. So the detail, that's me. Focusing on details, right? It says focus on detail in your task, complete a project or job with meticulous care, and enjoy the satisfaction of a job well done. So when I do this kind of stuff, because I tend to, it's just my nature, that really does bring me a lot of joy. I can be really crazy with it like that sometimes when it comes to attention to detail. And so I don't know, sometimes I can walk past something and if it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 7, and then it just gets wacky after that, I have to literally go and organize it from 1 to 10 in its perfect alignment and order and actually bring it to alignment with the next thing. I can't have them like one way back here and one over here or one tilted. If it's like, boxes or something, I have to have it perfectly lined up and then in its order. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. My oldest daughter and myself are like that. My oldest daughter gets down to the point where she's literally labeling things and can get very organizational, but that's all in the details, right? And sometimes the details can be very catchy to the eye, especially if you go to another place and you look to see how organized and detailed it is. It could, I don't know, it could bring you feeling like, I don't know, a little bit of a joy, like, oh, this is pleasant. Or is it just me? But I know I can get like that. When I see something great in all the details like that, my eyes tend to pick those kinds of details up. So it says that when you do that with your job, right? And you complete a project job with meticulous care, focus in on the details, you can enjoy the satisfaction in a job well done. And that is truth because literally, if I see that little, you know, blender as I'm walking by and it's not organized, I will go back and organize it. And I do take joy and satisfaction in doing that. Even if nobody else cares or sees it after the fact, I take great satisfaction in just doing that and then looking at it afterwards like, oh, okay, now it looks pretty. A sapphire soul. Sapphire soul. That's really cute. Pink flamingo. Florida. Florida. I don't know why I want to say Florida. I don't know if somebody out there that's watching is from Florida or knows somebody from Florida or has, family in Florida or is maybe intending to move to Florida. I know what's out there. Miami, that's a really big thing with a lot of people. Okay, reflect on your emotional well-being. Write down your feelings in a journal to gain clarity and peace of mind. So technically, maybe this is a good one for me to write down my experience from yesterday, journal it to the exact day of where I realized, that the major healing and the major shift in my life. And then pivot from there, right? We give gratitude and thanks, we realize it, we process the emotions, and then we keep moving forward to more goals. Maybe I should do that for myself. If those of you that like to journal, maybe it's prompting you to journal. That can self-reflection or any type of reflection is really good for you. And it's good for also releasing, purging, emotions or hurt or unprocessed feelings. It's good to get that out. It's a form of doing that. It's really great. And I do that a lot, even with poems. I don't know if any of you know this, but I love to write poems and just write in general. And so I do keep a journal. I keep different journals for different things, from art all the way down to poetry. Okay, here we go. Violet shadows. Reflect on past mistakes without judgment. Use this insight to make amends or to avoid similar pitfalls in future endeavors. Is it to make amends or to avoid similar pitfalls? This associates a lot with what happened to me yesterday as well. This is really great. And so, as well as they are for you, these oracle messages, they are for me as well, right? So, take all of these how they resonate or how you see fit for your life. A lot of these are resonating with myself. Yeah, so reflecting and then kind of making a move to not make the same mistakes again, but also don't be too hard on yourself, Don't be very judgmental to the point where, it just further deepens the pain, because when we do that to ourselves, um, it's not a good thing, because we're already carrying a lot of hurt and pain as it is. So don't be so judgmental. Don't be too harsh on yourself. It's okay to acknowledge it and acknowledge the mistake and move on. We don't need to stay in that. Once we acknowledge the mistake, that is a big role in itself. That is a big something that you've conquered, and that's a big thing to even just acknowledge, right? That it was a mistake. And so when we do that, don't be so judgmental and carry that judgment with you and blame yourself. Don't blame yourself for a lot of the things that are happening, especially when you're going through your divorce and going through your healing journey. Don't blame yourself so much, okay, on past mistakes or any mistakes, even the future ones, because we're always constantly making mistakes. But the point is, we learn how to process that and learn from it and move on. But the important part is we move on, okay? All right, Velvet Revolt. It's pretty cool. Looks like a shattered pink glass. Address a long-standing issue with courage and have a direct conversation to clear the air and make way for resolution. So maybe if some of you have a difficult time speaking up about a certain subject or something maybe that's been bothering you, it's okay to speak up about it just to clear the air, right? And make way for a solution. There's always solutions to every problem. Sometimes it's just getting up the nerve to just speak it and say what you feel and what's on your mind. And like that famous cliche saying, the truth will always set you free, right? And sometimes when the truth needs to be said, it just has to, so it could just set yourself free, right? From holding on to it, because you really need to say it. Gritty glamour. That's pretty, 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 pretty sky. Look at that. It's beautiful. It reminds me of those sci-fi movies when they land on another planet, and the planet that you could see another planet in the sky so close up that it represents, like, it's just so huge in the sky, and it's the color, even almost colors are different from planet Earth, and it looks crazy. I like that. Okay, so balance your rebellious side with self-care. Pamper yourself with a relaxing bath or a favorite treat. I do this a lot, especially with the treats. Yesterday was Treat City for me, and I loved it. I loved it a whole lot when you can reward yourself, Self-care. It's all about that self-care, because it really does bring balance for you. It can really help you out in regards to your healing. It's very important. Self-care is very important. Okay, Glamour Grit. We've gotten this one before. This one pops out a lot. So it's saying combine elegance with resilience, okay? Tackle a challenging task with the confident attitude and reward yourself afterwards. Have confidence in whatever it is that you need to tackle and reward yourself after. A lot of this stuff is these cards, and these cards are talking about self-care, rewarding yourself, treating yourself, loving yourself. Maybe for some of you, it's going to be like an all about me day. Maybe some of you need to take it's all about me day. Maybe that's what it's trying to say for some of you, that indulging in self-care is something that needs to be done to bring yourself back into alignment and give yourself some balance, right? Balance out some of those negative emotions or negative energies, even if they're not our own. I was discussing that in a prior video about how we could pick up on other people's energies, right? And other people's negativity and emotions and what they carry. And sometimes, they can be your friends, family members, partners, romantic relationships. They can come from all over, all around you. Energy is all around us, it's everywhere. And so I was discussing that in one of my other videos, and how, important that is to, especially if it's not yours and you're, when you, some people can have a really intense energy about them. And when you're around them, you can really feel that. And it can, if it's like really negative, it's a negative impact on you. Maybe, when it comes to self-care, it's time to treat yourself, reward yourself, cleanse. I did talk about cleansing too. There's bathing rituals. All of you guys can look in further into this stuff online, find videos of other people that, I actually have a book with a lot of different types of rituals and things you can do for yourself. And it all stems down to self-care, taking care of your vessel. It's very important. Our bodies go through a lot more harshness than what we can imagine day in, day out, especially with the unseen, which is the energy, right? We don't see that. We don't see the energy they're approaching us with, as far as like actually see it with the physical eye, what's being exchanged. But it's there. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not there and it doesn't exist. It's there. And so it can, creep on over to us and manifest itself in us in different ways. And so I also discussed about how sometimes we catch ourselves being cranky or irritable or triggered, and easily triggered or in a bad mood, and we don't know why. And so sometimes we have to take a look at that, what kind of energy we're surrounding ourselves with. Look at the people and what's happening there. So treating, self-care, love, not being too judgmental on yourself, taking it easy. So maybe some of you, this is something that would be good for you. Having a more of a self-care day. Maybe if you haven't took that time and it's been a while, maybe I'm here just to point out that it's time to go ahead and, take some time to yourself. And for those of us that have kids and a full house, a busy house, and a hectic work life, any one of those in any way, we all have different things going on. But if there's just a lot in general going on around you, it's okay to separate yourself from those things for a little while. And I feel led to say, don't take home your work. I don't know who that's to, but don't take home your work. Your work is your work at work, and keep it at work. And when you get home, don't pop that computer open to answer any work emails. Don't look at your phone to respond to somebody that's at work that needs your help. It's all you time. And don't feel ashamed to do that. And don't feel like you're being selfish because you've already worked for the amount of time you got paid for. And so once that ends, it ends. And then separate the two. When work is work, it's work, and that's your dedication, and 100% you give it your all, right? Great. But then when it's time to check out and go home, we check out and go home. Okay, for those of us that can do that. I know like if you're a doctor or something into that nature, I know being on a call is a pretty crazy thing, because if someone calls in the middle of the night like, hey doctor, your patient's about to have their baby or something like that, then of course, then it would be different. For it just depends, if your life enables things like that. And so, like, for those of us that have children, because we don't want to be like, oh yeah, sorry, it's me time right now, they're gonna have to deliver on their own. We don't want to do that. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But I just that was funny in my brain, though, as I was processing that more and more. I was like, oh wait a minute, that's actually kind of funny. That's like stuff you see in comedies, right? Like stupid comedies. Actually, like stupid comedies. Maybe that's an idea for some of you. If you like to, if you haven't seen a good comedy in a while, a rom-com, a regular comedy, just, indulge in that. Laughter is a great thing that could really reset the nervous system when you bring yourself to laugh. And who doesn't like laughter, right? It adds years to your life, so they say. I believe that. I believe that. Laughter is great. You can't go wrong with that, especially when it's truly coming from the pit of your stomach. One of those good hard laughs, something that really made you laugh. And maybe some of you, I'm saying this because some of you haven't laughed in a really long time. And I'm not talking about LOL on your phone or ha 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 on your phone or the laughing emoji with the little cry eyes on your phone. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when someone confronts you and they say something really funny, or you're watching a movie and you hear something really funny and you see it and you like laugh like a really good laugh, even to the point where you cry. When was the last time you've done that? Maybe you need to ask yourself, when was the last time I had such a good laugh that I cried? Not with a joke that maybe a coworker told you at work and you felt the need that, oh, I gotta laugh because I don't want to be rude, and you did the all the whole ha 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 thing. No, we're not talking about that kind of laugh. I'm talking about, really feeling it to the point where your eyes are tearing, and you just can't help it. You just laughing. Those are the best laughs. And so maybe some of you need to experience that in your day of self-care. Go to a comedy club if you like that, or if you haven't tried it, try something different if you like that comedy stuff, if you like it. Because, I know some people may be too uncomfortable to go to a comedy show. Some people are actually fearful to go because they don't want to get picked on. Just don't sit in the front row, because I've been to those. You sit in the front row, you might as well walk in with a big bullseye on your back, saying make fun of me because you're right in the front. So of course that's gonna happen. But no, watching a movie, even if it's like maybe something you've seen before, but the movie makes you laugh, because I've got a few of those. um Friday is one of those for me, with Ice Cube, Smokey. That's the classic. You just can't go wrong with that. You're gonna laugh. But you know maybe it's about time some of you guys need to self-indulge into a little more self-care. Don't uh don't deprive yourself of these things, and treating yourself. Go to the market, go get yourself that bag of chips, or the candy bar, or the pie, or the, I don't know, the cookies, the muffins, the croissants, the donuts, the, you know what, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. And that does sound good. All of it. I don't know what it is with me lately. Lately, it's been all about the sweets. All about the sweets for me. And so, yeah. But anyway, we're gonna continue on. That was a good 8 oracle messages for all of you. And so that was a beautiful thing. Okay? To have those 8 messages pop up for everybody. Oh, oh. let me get this more together, because I know I used these in prior reads and I haven't used them since, so they're a little bit okay. They're a little bit not organized. Okay, we're gonna go with this one. This was a Sacred Soul. Oh. We're gonna go for it. Okay, this popped out again and again and again and again, and it keeps popping out, so we're gonna show it. This is important. Wherever you go and whatever you do, be in love. Like they say, right? Love conquers all. Love is the highest vibration that we can be in, okay? Strong feelings, inspired. Don't settle for less, okay? And then we have raise your words, not your voice. The rain grows flowers, not thunder. Make peace, have empathy, show kindness. So it's starting off with love, kindness, peace. Not raise your words, not your voice. So this is speaking in terms of don't anger. I don't know, some of you, maybe there's something that's upset you recently, and you're harboring a lot of emotions, negative ones from that, and so maybe that's something that needs to be resolved. Because I know in the first set of the 8 oracle messages from the first deck that I pulled, it talked about bringing a resolution to a problem, and that you don't have to argue about it. Let me pull that for you, because that's speaking to me right now in my brain. I'm getting that download of it. This one, this one, this one. Now that I'm looking at these cards, using your intuition to let them guide your decisions. So if you're feeling really upset with somebody or something, I don't know, I'm getting that. Okay, this message is for somebody. I don't know, for those of you, take this how it resonates. But if there's a really strong emotional negative issue going on, a problem going on in your life right now, where you really feel you need to, there's a lot of issues with a specific person. Maybe there's been an argument and there was a lot of anger involved here. So take this how it resonates. If this resonates with you, it's really talking about like reflecting, using your intuition so you don't make decisions, like using them, not so you don't make a bad decision, right? Use your intuition and let it guide you into a good decision, okay? Reflect on your emotional well-being, okay? Gain clarity and peace of mind. So that could lead into the needing to do the self-care thing, because maybe there's been a lot of, I don't know, I'm seeing arguments, some type of an issue that you're having with a person or about a certain situation. And so right here it says reflect on past mistakes without judgment. Make amends, okay? And so when we argue with somebody, or we have a dispute, making amends to avoid similar pitfalls in future endeavors. So I don't know, this is something that's repetitive and it keeps coming up with you, a persistent fight or argument that you're having with somebody, and it's saying it's just time to make amends. Because right here, this one's saying raise your words, not your voice. And I seen right away with that. This card brought more clarity into what this is really saying. And so maybe that's, making amends with something, coming into some type of peace. It says balance your rebellious side. Maybe this is something that you want to, get really, really upset about, because it's something that makes you really, really upset. And so you're trying to avoid that. And it's very hard for you. It says take on that, the challenging task and reward yourself, and self-care. And maybe whatever this is, if you confront the situation and make amends, maybe making amends is something that needs to be done. but it's very hard to get to that point. I know when we're arguing and at battle with somebody, or, like, not literal, but what I'm saying is, like, there's a lot of arguing with words back and forth, and a lot of things being said, and it just digs the hole deeper with us with that argument, with that person. And so there's more and more that we feel we can't forgive that person for, because the argument gets deeper and stronger with, every time you argue with that person. And you can't see a resolution after that because the conflict just deepens, and the emotions get more intense. And so maybe it's saying it's time to bring this to a halt with the whole thing, just to put an end to it. And whether it means making amends with the person, but I feel more led to say it starts with you. Your self-care starts with, don't be so judgmental on yourself. If you've made past mistakes into making bad decisions, like the routes you take with those arguments with that person, maybe it's like, go ahead and allow yourself to process, but let it go. Don't be so judgmental, and not to just bring yourself back into that same situation with that person, and make amends with yourself. And when you do make amends with the person, it doesn't necessarily mean it's for them, it's for you. And I don't know if you've heard that before, but I have plenty of times where when you forgive, it's not about forgiving for the person. And a lot of times we can't bring ourselves to forgive because we're like, heck no, I'm not forgiving this person because hell no, this person did XYZ, and the list goes on, right? But we got to get our mindsets out of that. And that's not what it's about. It's for yourself. Forgive for yourself. Okay? Because it'll help put things more into a peaceful balance in your life when you can calm that side down of you to say, okay, I'm going to make amends with that person, but do it for me. Because when you choose to do that, then you're walking away from the arguments and you're choosing your peace. And I talked about this in a prior video as well, when I was getting a lot of downloads for, I had two dreams. And so I was discussing that. And so in one of those videos, I discussed about how, like, let's just say, for instance, that bit of chaos that's happening in your life is because of the fighting with the ex-spouse, the constant, or the ex-partner, whatever, take it how it resonates. But, there's constant bickering and arguing and fighting, and it's never ending. And every day it's like something, fighting in person, fighting on the phone, fighting through the kids, putting them in the middle and saying, well, you tell your dad, or you tell your mom, or you tell your whatever, and this can be, take this how it resonates in any area of your life, whatever person or issue whatever person you're having that issue with. But it's pretty much saying, like, you know, with the whole love card, don't raise your voice, have empathy, maybe there's something that has to be brought to attention and needs to be said, and you need to just speak your piece about it and then drop it. Forgive, move on. Don't use your voice, but use your words. Let go of the argument part and just say what you need to say. And whether they accept it or not, it's not your problem. You've done your part. And when that happens, you can keep moving forward. Just stay in that mindset of knowing, I said my piece, I spoke my piece, I done my part, I forgave that, and now I'm moving on. And that takes a lot of strength. It is way easier said than done, because I've been there, done that, trust, with so many people that I've had to, down the line, look at and say, okay, let's confront the issues with this person and that I mean, it was a long line. Okay. A lot of anger and rage behind a lot of these arguments with these people. I've had a lot of that during my divorce. Was not fun, and it wasn't easy, and it's not easy to get to that point to say, okay, enough is enough, and we're just going to forgive this part or that part and move on. It took me a while to do that, so I know it can be way easier said than done. But if we put little small things like that into practice, where, okay, I'm not going to dive into that argument if they start with the text and you know you're going to get upset, or they open with a text that makes you upset, the strength to just not indulge, if you can get through that, even though it looks minor to some people, it's big to us when we're experiencing it and feeling it. But if you can get past that and you can move past that and say, I'm not going to indulge and entertain that. I'm not going to entertain that person today. Sorry, you don't get my time and you don't get to rob my peace. That's a big win for you. And the more you put that in practice, the better the outcome for you, right? And when you do that, like these other Oracle deck cards were saying, treat yourself. Those little minor challenges, they're major to us. What somebody may look at as and see as, oh, you're still not, oh, that's nothing. Like that's how people talk to us sometimes from the outside looking in, and they don't understand the emotions of the feelings, right? That come with the argument of that person and the way that person makes us feel. So for those moments, right? Those tasks, those challenges that we face, treat yourself, reward yourself, bring yourself balance by allowing peace back into your life, and reward yourself with that. Go get yourself a treat for not answering that person's phone call. Heck yeah. Go through the In-N-Out drive-through right after you push block and go reward yourself with, I don't know, a shake, a burger and fries, a whole meal, whatever, right? Okay. And so where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. Rough time, good outcome. Everything will work out okay. And that somebody needs to hear that. Whatever this issue and this long-standing argument or problem is with this person, there's hope. Okay? It's a rough time, but there's a good outcome and everything will work out okay. It's your light that lights the world. Self-reliance. No, yes, self-reliance. Sorry. Let's read that again. It's your light that lights the world. Self-reliance, brilliant ideas, time to shine. And so with this card that popped out in a prior video, it was a really big message. And so the light bulb going now, when I say off, the light bulb went off. I mean on. And you're like, wait, what? Off or on? No, like the light bulb goes, okay, maybe to make it more understandable, the light bulb going on in your head, like ding, like all of a sudden you get that epiphany. There you go. Thank you, Spirit. You get the epiphany, like, wait a minute. It just drops like a little download right into your brain, right? And then the brain wakes up and says, and you look at a situation differently. That's your time to shine, when you figure it out, when it hits you like a ton of bricks. So that's a metaphor. That's just like a saying. For those of you that haven't, that's not literal. You know, when they say, oh, it just hit me like a ton of bricks out of nowhere, and then I realized this or realized that, sometimes that's what we need. But when we start to take the chaos out of our lives, right, and reset our nervous system, declutter the brain, that's when we start to receive these brilliant ideas and we shine a whole lot more through our problems. When we start to have these realizations. But the self-care, okay, the love, bringing your body back into alignment and balance, that's when we can start to have this shift in our brain to make room for new growth and not deal with things in an old nature, in an old way that we used to. And so that's what you call aligning with your higher self and making those decisions in your higher mindset, right? Pulling yourself into a higher vibration. With that that comes with more positive outcomes, opportunities, more positive things starts to happen in your life when that happens. So I feel really, that was really for some of you, I don't know if you're having issues with somebody, you're having an argument and it's just an ongoing argument, and the hole just gets deeper with that every day because more words get said, and then there's more frustration behind that, and then the wounds get deeper and deeper and deeper. And I've been there, done that. Trust me, it's not a fun time. I would wake up already frustrated just knowing what the day was going to bring, because it was almost like I already know this is going to happen, and I already know the outcome, and I already know, let's see what this person's going to tell me today to piss me off, And that's horrible to be able, you know what? Let's so 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 those of you that are going through this, let's I know with me it was a lot of different people. So this could be anybody, right? Let's dive further into who this person might be, so maybe you can have somewhat of an idea of what to steer clear for, because you're already like, okay, like if this person approaches me, let's see who's approaching my we're gonna flip that. Who's approaching my collective in this negative energy? Who is this? Let's give more insight, please. One more card. Who is this person carrying a lot of this negative energy towards my collective? What is the argument? What is the issue? Ooh. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Ooh. You know what? I want to say for a lot of you, this is an ex, however you call the ex, spouse, partner, somebody that had a major influence in your life, and somebody that is this somebody that this to me feels more like a romantic partnership that you had with somebody. I don't know if this is so much a friend. It could be, and for those of you that it is a friend that you're having these issues with, take it how it resonates. But this is really calling to me, like, I'm seeing, and two, when I seen the influences card fly out, see the couple, and again in the memories card, the couple. All right, here we go. Thank you, spirit guides. Thank you, angels and my ancestors. This really speaks to me in a way that it's saying there's some of you that are having problems right now, and if you are going through a divorce or you are experiencing issues with your significant other, this is stemmed from, it could be some type of split between the two of you, right? And so the both of you trigger each other. There's a lot of triggers here, emotional ones. The card says flashbacks, trauma bond, inner child wounds, attracting toxic. So with this relationship, there's a lot of triggers being carried between the both of you, okay? And that's where a lot of the arguments stem from. At the bottom of the deck is call. And I did express how something needed to be said. And I was talking about how texts and phone calls can get out of hand when it comes to arguments with this person. So think, however this resonates for you, somebody that you're talking to a lot and you're having a lot of issues with, and you're getting a lot of bad messages through social media, text messages, whatever, however, take that how it resonates. Signs, 11, meanings, repeated numbers, synchronicities. So I don't know if any of you are seeing a lot of synchronicities, or 11 can be significant for an anniversary, a date, a birth date, something that's when you see 11, or just in general, synchronicities. Is there a synchronicity that you see when it comes to this person? That could be a sign for you that you right away, okay, I know who this person is. Influences, others involved, third parties, intervention and manipulation. Take this also how it resonates, because this is a really deep card and it carries a lot of triggers. especially when there's third party involved. So this can be this can be with somebody that maybe there is a third party, and this is why there's a lot of arguing. And third party can be a lot of different things. Okay, it doesn't just have to be third party person, like, you know, uh like the person maybe they let that got involved into the relationship and shouldn't be there, and so this person left because of that third party, or however, vice versa. Take it how it resonates. Or it could be maybe the third party is this person's job, your job, getting in the way. It's causing external, there's these external influences that are causing, okay? And it even could be down to family members inserting themselves, or friends, right? And so everybody's up in the mix, calling you to, oh girl, guess what I seen? Oh, this, and I seen him with XYZ and this, that, and oh, and his mom said, and her mom said, and oh, I ran into the cousin, or I ran into his best friend or her best friend. Take this all how it resonates, right? And so everybody hops in there, right? Into the argument, and they add more drama to the mix by the things they witnessed, seen, heard, the other party do. Oh, I seen this person with that person. And so the whole keeps getting deeper, right? With this person. And so we got the triggers, the signs, okay? And then we got influences, okay? And then we have memories. So you have a lot of memories with this person, whoever it is, even if it's a friend. Take this all how it resonates, or if it's, your person. There's a lot of memories there with this person. Reminiscing, dwelling, good times, looking back. So the both of you, or one of you, is doing this a lot because of the constant arguing and where you're seeing yourself at with this person in terms of not on good terms. You're looking back at all the memories. You're remembering the good times with this person, and that's what makes it hard for you to let go. I don't know why I want to say that, but I want to say that it's making it very hard for you, and so you're continuing to entertain the arguments because of the fact that your memories are really screwing up your mind. And memories can do that for us. They can really screw with our brains and make us like feel sorry, like we just can't let that person go. We can't let our ex go because there's too many memories, right? You guys had way too much going on, all the good times, all the things you did together, and maybe if there's children involved for some of you, or pets. Oh, we got our dog together, or our cat, or a bird, whatever. Insert whatever in that picture. But with all the cards that have been popping out, I really feel like it's time to move past, because this card right here is talking about attracting toxic. So whatever this is for you, whatever kind of relationship, it's toxic. And so there's a lot of triggers happening here, thus triggering the emotions, thus triggering the arguments, right? Toxicity is not bringing about good. It's bringing about all the bad in both. It's always both parties that it brings about the bad, okay? Because it takes two to argue. And it doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about just the negative emotions that comes with the arguments. And so for my collective, I'm trying to guide you into doing your part and speaking your piece and putting down your sword, as they say, and saying, I'm not gonna, that's just a metaphor. Putting down your sword, it's just a metaphor, not being literal. It's saying, okay, I'm putting down the arguments. I'm gonna retire the arguing now. And we need to move on, because clearly this isn't working. This is, whatever this is toxic. And so when we can get our mindset and grasp that and really start to focus on what we can do for ourselves to pull ourselves out of the toxicity, that's when we can start to see more positive outcomes in our life. Otherwise, we stay in a perpetual cycle of anger and bitterness, rage, all the ugly that comes with all the triggers, okay? And we're just repeating cycles and cycles and cycles, and it's not good. And so at some point, we have to get tired of those cycles and living in them and saying, I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired of the perpetual fighting. It's never ending cycle and it never gets better. And so when you start to see that and the light bulb goes on, right? Or you have that epiphany in your mind that, wait a minute, I don't want to entertain this no more, because this isn't getting me anywhere. I'm not benefiting off of this. It does nothing for me but bring me sadness and hurt and pain, make me more angry, cause me to make bad decisions while we're arguing. And it's all toxic. And it's maybe there's things that you've lost because of the bad decisions that you made when you were arguing with this person. Maybe it could be a job or your vehicle. And so, okay, I got a download in my brain. So, first video, I was talking about my weekend and the event that I went to. At that event, okay, maybe I seen this for a reason. This has to be because it's all clicking. Okay, thank you, Spirit. I got this download. Okay, at this event, I was waiting for my two of my kids and other family in the parking lot, and I didn't want to go into the event without them, so I waited in the parking lot for about a good, I'm going to say like 20 minutes. And within that time there was a couple, and I noticed the guy was driving really erratically in the parking lot, and I thought for a moment, this guy is either on something or whatever, and he's gonna either hit another car or a person. And so I kind of got nervous because my car wasn't parked too far away from where he was driving around. And so he revs his car and goes right really quick towards another person standing in the parking lot, and this person's got their a backpack and things on their body. They're carrying things, right? And so he slams the brakes and stops the car, and he jumps out of the car to approach this person. And so he approaches, the female, and he gets out of the car and approaches the female, and she's the one that's carrying all the things, right? And so she just starts yelling at the top of her lungs just to get away from her, leave her alone. I already seen you. And that's how loud that she's screaming in the parking lot that I can hear. And I'm not too far away, but at the same time, I'm a nice distance away to where I could still hear word for word what she's screaming. Okay, and that's how loud she was. Very emotional, and obviously she was very triggered, okay, especially by him and seeing him and him being in her, in her space. And so I was watching to make sure, like, okay, what's really going on here, because nowadays you don't know. Okay, there's a lot of that happens, and things can get unfortunate really fast. And so he gets back into his car and he punches the gas and flies across the parking lot into another empty spot, right? And so she continues to walk away. He leaves her alone and she walks away, and she walks back to the vehicle though where he parked. Now he got away from her, but she walked to that vehicle with all of her things, her backpack, her bags in her hand, very distraught, very upset, but she still proceeded to walk to the vehicle, and he had put it in park. And she walks to the passenger side and he rolls the window down for her, and she leans in and she proceeds to scream at the top of her lungs at him. Mind you, he already went away from her, but she, after saying, leave me alone, I don't want to see you, get away from me, and proceeds to go over to him after he, left, and she was screaming at him. And so fast forward in my head, I thought, wow, because, when you're going through emotional outbursts and anger of fighting with somebody like that, especially if it's with your ex, I've had a lot of those. And so from the outside looking in, I thought, why would she do that? Like, just walk away then. Just keep going. Why did you walked all the way across the parking lot to continue on, and you're just screaming at that point and everyone is looking. And so at this point, more and more people are showing up to this event and getting out of their cars, parking and looking. And so I'm still in my vehicle and I'm just, watching. And so I'm tripping out and I'm thinking, is that what I look like? is that is that what people must have thought when they used to see us argue? And it's like, and let's be real. Whether it's the guy or the girl, let's just be real. It doesn't matter. Or whether it's, it doesn't matter what gender. Let's take gender out of the issue here. When couples argue, it doesn't matter who's doing what, whether it's, either spouse, both of us could be guilty for doing the same thing. And from the outside looking in, it looks wild, and so it really made me think like, whoa, it was almost like my epiphany went off in my own brain of, wow, seeing an issue for what it really was and thinking like, wow, that's just, having that epiphany in your own mind and then connecting it all. And then it was crazy. And then too, fast forward, looking back, I'm thinking, why would she do that? But then I asked myself right after that, well, duh, because she's mad. And, and then I remembered those moments. And so where you feel the need, like, oh, well, you want to, how it says, raise your words, not your voice, but you want to raise your voice. So you go back into the argument and deepen the situation because you feel you're not being heard. And you know what? When it comes down to it, we can look at it now that I can look at it from a different point of view now that I'm healed and know that, okay, I'm not going to do that with this person, with my ex-spouse anymore, because, I'm trying to steer past that chaos, right, for my life and invite more peace. But it's like, for those of you that are experiencing this right now, from what I'm talking about, maybe this is where you're at. It's those type of arguments. And when I'm saying the outcome can be detrimental is because I was looking on the outside, looking in at that couple. I was afraid somebody was going to get hit or a car was going to get hit or, innocent bystander that had nothing to do with that. Those are the ones that usually get hurt, right? Or, one of them, something was going to happen with one of them. You don't know whether she does something, he does something. When I'm looking at that situation, you don't know. And so for me, it's just crazy. So it really takes you back to like, whoa, like, okay. And so the thinking more clearly, because bad decisions can be made, and so I know when I made those decisions for myself and went back to the argument, inserted myself back into that because I felt my voice wasn't being heard and I was so pissed off, I just wanted to, scream at my ex-spouse. That's, I get it. But at the same time, it's like being in those old ways and those old patterns. It's very huge when it comes to just thinking of all the ways a lot of things could have went sideways for myself and decisions, that could have been made or done, or, everything in the heat of the moment, like as far as like, you know, just accidents happening, or, you know, um, just when you're looking back and you're seeing all of these things and what it entails. Arguments are not pleasant and they're not easy and they're not, they're just super packed with negativity. And so me telling you this, it's because I'm being real with you guys. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, it was all him. No, we both were at it, like yelling or causing triggers in each other just to be, you know, I'm going to, do this to this person, that to that person. So maybe some of you out there are experiencing these type of arguments. And so now it's time for the light bulb to go off in your mind and say, okay, I choose my peace. Because when I started to dip more into those aspects of my higher self and choosing my peace and putting down the yelling, the screaming, the arguing, going back into the situation instead of just getting away from it. At some point, I really started to look at myself and say, what is this benefiting me? And so maybe some of you are in this position right now where you're going through these arguments with your ex, and it's a lot of arguing, a lot of fighting. If that's the case, I just really encourage you. I understand everything. I'm not taking sides and I'm not pointing fingers and I'm not being judgmental. I've been there, done that. Like I told you before in prior videos, if you haven't seen them, I encourage you to watch them. But I'm being really 100 right now and keeping it real with you guys. It can get wild. Those arguments can get really wild, and they're packed with really deep emotions because whatever's going on between, that you and your ex-partner, those are emotions and ties and bonds that you've made with this person from who knows how many years. I was married for 17, so that's 17 years of emotions and bonds and issues and triggers and traumas tied up with this person. And those things just don't go away overnight. So yeah, you're going to get those kind of arguments where they're going to be outbursts and craziness. But in the midst of all that chaos, there is a way for healing and to pull yourself up out of that. And somebody has to make that decision to do it. Otherwise, it's going to be a perpetual cycle of never ending, just arguing and yelling, talking shit to each other back and forth all day, every day. And so when I decided to pull myself from that, that was a big epiphany for me that one day. And so I kept walking and been walking and keep choosing. Is it hard? Yes. Do I still feel triggered emotionally sometimes? Yes, because triggers can still stay with you. Even if you faced them and dealt with them, they can still, but it's how you control the emotions. I got the download in my brain of the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups, she's the master of her emotions. If you really dive deep into the card's meaning and the significance behind the card, that cup she's holding in her hand, she is the master of her emotions, and she's mastered all of her emotions. She doesn't sway too far left or too far right. She doesn't insert herself completely emotionally into every aspect and detail of, whatever's going on. She mastered her emotions. And so in order to do that, we have to reflect. This is the last card that flipped out. It's reflection, Dark Night of the Soul. This is taking it back to Dark Night of the Soul, because these are the ugly things deal with your shadow self, right? Being angry, rageful, doing things intentionally just to get back at that other person, and looking at, all the negative emotions, that's looking at your shadow self. And so in order to do shadow work, you have to look at your own reflection. And I talked about this, and I brought this up in a prior video where I think it was in that video, I was talking about somebody having to look themselves in the mirror, and maybe they don't like what they see. Maybe the inside doesn't match with the outside, or vice versa. The outside doesn't match with the inside. And so maybe on the outside, there's a lot of these arguments happening, but on the inside, you're better than that. You're higher than that. And you don't want to continue on doing it, where you're living in a perpetual cycle of never ending arguments. So there is a way out. It's just hard for you to pull yourself out of it. But like this card was saying here in the priors that flipped, where there is ruin, there's hope for a treasure. You got to find that treasure. That treasure is picking your peace, not your poison, picking your peace. Rough time, good outcome. Everything will work out okay. And that happens when you pull yourself into a higher alignment and you start choosing your peace for yourself. Whoever this is for, this is what it boils down to, is choosing your peace instead of the rage and the anger and the arguments, and reward yourself for it. Okay, and like I said, it can be down to the little things in as clicking a button, block. I'm not gonna entertain you today because I know you're calling to argue with me. But guess what? Block. We're no long if you guys are no longer together and you've already established that, that's even more so, right? There are gonna be memories of this person, right? Of course, you're never gonna forget those memories. You're never gonna lose those. But sometimes this can keep us holding on to all the toxic attachment that we have with this person. But you have to really sit there and dive deep into yourself and reflect and ask yourself, is this person bringing out more of what's in that mirror? See what's in that mirror? Is this person really bringing that out in me more? Or bringing out the good side in me, the positive? And for some of you with the influences, if there is third party influence, and when I say that, like in my situation, there was, okay, he left me for another woman. And so that woman was the third party. Okay. And so that was a major influence into our arguments. That was what our arguments were all about all the time, 100%, more than anything. And it went on for a really long time. 1-11-11, as I say this on the clock, this is for somebody. Somebody's going through that. And that's confirmation right there that this could be about maybe this person left you for someone else. Taking gender, all that out of it, however you take it, how it resonates, however you see fit. But maybe your arguments are being stemmed because there's a third party involved. And if that's the case, that is highly toxic. And so you really need to look inside and go within and ask yourself the really deeper questions as to why you're holding on. And if you're choosing not to hold on anymore and you're wanting to walk away and this person keeps using this to keep you connected and tied, I'm seeing the devil card from the tarot in my mind as I'm telling you this. And in the tarot, the devil, there's two people chained up to him, right? They're chained together. 1-12-12, as I say that, more confirmation. Are they being manipulative and using that? Because the word manipulation right here is on the card, but I see manipulation in my head right now, and then I remembered that word is on this card. But that's a manipulation tactic when somebody digs into, but don't you remember all the good times that we had? Don't you remember how we did this, did that? But look at how long we've been together. We can't mess that up. Look at, what about this? What about, whatever it is, whatever tactic that they're using, that's manipulation. And nobody should be manipulating anybody. Manipulation is toxic. That's just pure toxicity. Point blank, end of story. But when that happens to us, a lot of times we're not realizing it, right? And so that's what makes us feel really sorry for this person and really sorry for the relationship and letting it go. We feel sorry to let it go. We can't, right? It's putting us in our feels. It's making us feel bad. But that is manipulation making you feel bad, not the reality of the situation. Okay, that's El Diablo making you feel bad. I'm seeing the devil card again in my mind. And that is the truth behind the lie. The lie is the manipulation tactic that they're using and the fact that you need to feel bad for it. But the truth is you don't have to feel bad for toxicity. Toxicity is what ruins lives. And you don't need, you're not seeing it because it's like a veil. You're being blinded by the situation. Let me pull the tarot. I really feel called and led and to pulling the tarot. And so at the bottom of the deck is call. Okay, so for some of you, and then right there at the back when I picked up the deck, spirit wants to pop out. So whoever you call on, whoever your spirit guides, God, Holy Spirit, the angels, ancestors, the Most High, whoever you call, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe some of you need to dive, deeper into getting closer with your connections and have them help guide you. Pray to whoever you pray to. Call on your angels so they can help guide you and steer you in the right path and bring you into this higher calling and give you some type of spiritual protection, right? So what does my collective need to know? There it is. I split the deck. We got the Ten of Swords. That's the end of the end, the absolute ultimate betrayal. That is it's finished. And with that, it brought a lot of pain, heartache. There was nothing good that came out of that. And you can visually see it in this card. I'm noticing the night, the black, the darkness in the background. It gets over. But we're dragging this out more than what it has to because of the Six of Cups, the memories, the nostalgia. That's where the manipulation lies at. Or maybe there's children involved and they're using that as a manipulation tactic. And you're remembering all the good memories, right? And all the little cups, all the beautiful little things. But this is really what's behind that. By staying or continuing on, it's really the Ten of Swords energy. Okay? So I feel like a lot of you need to be led out of this and into a more peaceful state of mind, because that's really rough. Trust me, I've been there, done that. I lived it and I know. Please give me further guidance into what my collective needs to know, please. Okay, here we go. Hangman. That's the light bulb right there. So the Hangman is awesome. Also, water sign, intuition, water sign. Using your intuition, going with your gut feeling. If you already know and you see your phone light up and it's this person, use your intuition. If your intuition gives you your gut, your intuition is going to give you an uncomfortable feeling if it's a negative or toxic situation, and that's your ultimate guide telling you don't answer it. Don't indulge in this. Whether it's answering the phone or meeting up with this person or going, into a situation. And so the Hangman is all about going inside to gain that epiphany moment, right? They're having an epiphany moment, getting that inner knowledge, gaining that inner wisdom. And so we need to spend some time with ourselves in order to collect those higher thoughts to make better decisions for ourselves, okay? And so this came out in the face down, but it wanted to pop out. The Queen of Swords, and I feel a lot of you are in the Queen of Swords energy. And that could be talking about just there's a lot of she speaks her truth, but she's not in a very good mood, right, when she says it. And so with that, there's a lot of clarity in the situation. You may be getting a lot of clarity about things right now, but it's putting you in a very upset and angry energy. Okay, this can signify the arguing that's happening. And so we want to get ourselves out of that Queen of Swords energy and more to the Queen of Cups. Remember I told you in my mind's eye, I seen the Queen of Cups as I was talking to you earlier, where that's where we should be. And she's the master of emotions. So you have to get yourselves out of the Queen of Swords energy and more into the Queen of Cups energy to master those emotions, okay? To conquer all the anger. There's got to be a better way, right? To get through this. Next card out. You can't make this up. You see me shuffle and you see me flip it out. You see my cards right here. The Queen of Swords was upside down. In other words, Spirit's trying to say, get out of that energy. And I literally was telling you in my mind's eye, and I didn't see her. She was hiding underneath the rest of these cards. And so she was the next one up. So when I pulled out the card, it was the Queen of Cups. Get out of this energy and get more into this. Become the master of your emotions. So you can get into that higher wisdom, right? Separating ourselves, that's hangman energy. When we separate ourselves and distance ourselves on purpose, take some time to go within and really evaluate, right? Things that are happening. Get yourself out of this and put yourself into the Queen of Swords energy. Spirit is really speaking. And so this is for somebody. Thank you, Spirit. That I'm really, this is amazing. And I love when that happens because it's just such confirmation in itself, right? So getting out of that and getting into this. If you don't know what the Queen of Cups means, you can go ahead and research that and look at the significant meaning behind the Queen of Cups and what she stands for. Everything is a depiction of something that's in this picture. There is meaning behind all of this. And in this cup is all of her emotions, but she has it in her hand. She's mastered it. Okay. Start working on a new project. This is the first thing that pops into my mind. Take time to just dive into your work more if you have to get your mind into focus and what really matters. Work on your finances and your money. You know how they say when you start to go through a glow up, people start, working on their career. They start working on themselves. This is calling you to start working on yourself, whether it's a new project you want to start working on, do something for you. And maybe that's going to bring you money because this is Pentacles. And so instead of in entertaining somebody that just wants to argue all the time, entertain yourself with not doing that, not choosing that, and stepping away from that person and walking into something that's going to benefit you and help you to work on yourself. And when you can put your mind, see how he looks focused on what he's doing in the picture? He's focusing on his money. And when they say, oh, that person went through a major glow up, that we're not talking about looks here. We're talking about that can be in your finances too. This person's working on their finances. And so when that happens and you got a bigger bank account and more money in your pocket and all that hard work you're putting into it, that gives you a sense of satisfaction. That can be really beneficial to you, even if it's just, that maybe it's a project that will bring you money in the long run. You just don't know yet. That's your cue right there to start working on yourself and walk away from whatever this is. It's time to walk away now. Walk away and see the cups for what they truly are. The Six of Cups, the emotional, when I split the deck in the beginning, the Six of Cups is when I split the deck. But really, there's really nothing in those cups anymore. That was just all smoke and mirrors because of the manipulation this person uses. Those cups are really empty, and it's just time to move on. The memories, the manipulation, it's smoke and mirrors in your mind. There's really nothing to hold on to anymore. It's all toxic, and it's time to just walk away. Put up your defenses. Be on guard. Guard your heart, your mind. When it comes to this person, see how there's a gap between the person standing there? There's a gap to let something in, right? But he's not paying attention to that. He has his back turned towards that gap, and he's so focused on standing in front with his staff, but there's a gap. And it reminds me of saying, like, when you keep the door even a little bit cracked, it allows room for the bad things to just flow right on in, right? They invite themselves in. So be mindful. Guard your heart and your mind, and be mindful of what you're allowing in your heart and in your mind, and the people, that space. Be mindful. And remember, whenever you open the door, even just a little bit, to entertain something and it's negative, it's going to rush in and flood in like crazy. So just be mindful of being on guard and blocking. It's a good thing to block your heart and your mind from bad things, but it's also important to be mindful of when you're doing that and being on guard with that. Just be careful as to just make sure all those wands are in place to really keep out the negative. Don't allow any room for anything to creep in, right? Especially if this person's saying, well, can I just come and talk to you for 2 minutes? It's just going to be 2 minutes. Or just telling yourself, well, I haven't spoken to this person, and like we haven't argued in like 4 days, and then don't go look for that person just to be like, hey, just to see what they're doing, because you're starting to reminisce, and then there goes the right. You're manipulating your own mind. and sometimes we do that, and that's when we let the door open and the floodgates of toxicity just creep in there, and before you know it, you're in a full-blown another argument, and then you're like, man, I just put myself back in square one. Nothing good came out of that. We just ended up arguing again. And so your future, your outcome, what does your world look like? And I don't know why, but I want to say it the way I see it, and the way I read my cards is different, and I've already explained this in prior videos. Where do you see yourself 2 years from now? The number two, the two wands, is really prominent to me in the photo, but the fact that they're holding the to me, it's like you're holding, you have the cards are in your hands. You play them how you see fit, but you can have everything you desire if you just can make the right decisions for yourself. And if you continue to do that, where do you see yourself in 2 years if you don't? Where is your future going to be at with this person in 2 years if you don't never allow the light bulb to turn on and the epiphany to happen in your mind, and you just continue to hold on to the past? 2 years, where do you see yourself with this person? Ask yourself that. And if you choose to continue to make, better choices to strive for your higher self, then where do you see yourself in those 2 years? Because our lives can take different paths. So there's two roads for you here to choose from. You need to choose what path you want to take. Which road do you want to land on? And with that, where do you see yourself in 2 years, either on the left road or on the right road? Continuing on with the toxicity and holding on to this, or letting it go and choosing the right road, literally on the right, and going down that one, choosing that path instead. And so with that, your life's outcome, where do you see yourself 2 years from now? And those are always good questions to ask ourselves. 2 years from now, where do we see ourselves? And just think of all the growth that can come from that. And so with that being said, I thank you very much for joining me on this live, and just listening to this and catching this whenever you do, right? And I know it's gonna be at a specific time when you need it. And so thank you very much. If you want, you can go ahead and jump onto my video prior, because that actually is going to tell you more into how I, started this video. It's actually like it titles. I had to go back and correct the title in the first one. And so I added the part one, and then this one I just continued on with that because I had to get myself together and my glasses and my coffee. And then so I did a part two. So you got to see the part one to understand more of the part two. But yeah, so this was a message that Spirit wanted to share with everybody today, and it was really great to sit here with you and share with you my personal, right? I'm not sitting here, I'm just the messenger, but I'm not sitting here being a messenger with no life experience and not understanding anything that I'm saying, because I understand everything to a T. I've been there, done that, and I've lived through it, and it's I understand. And really my heart is with everybody here, my collective especially, that is going through a lot and experiencing similar, you know I really resonate with everybody here. And so that's why I'm really just trying to push the messages and help out, give a little bit of guidance to whoever can, wants to receive it and can use it. And so with that being said, just thank you so much. And yeah, it was I had a good morning. I had a good weekend, good morning. This was a good message as far as everything for me. I just feel really I'm happy. I feel happy. I feel happy that I can do this. It's an opportunity and I'm thankful. And so all of life's moments, when we can get through this chaos, right? If it's the arguing that you're going through, you're going to get past it. There's going to be a greater outcome if we choose the right decisions and make decisions that align greater with our highest self. That's when we can start to see the healing taking place and to really appreciate, in the years to come, the growth from that, and then the the healing in itself. And fast forward, regardless of what I can say personally, of all the arguing and all the drama and all the chaos and all the the bickering and the stuff going on between me and my ex for all those years that they did, because there was from the time we split, we were arguing for another, like, oof, I don't know how many years exact after, but it was for a while, a long while. And what I can say now, happily say now, is that when I see him, I have forgiven him and myself and the situation. And I can say that when I see him, we don't come together anymore to argue. Um, just to give you all a little bit of hope. My outcome overall, all of, when I told you guys at the end, where do you see yourself in 2 years? Well, if somebody would have told me at the beginning that he would be coming to share moments, as far as, birthdays and things that are happening in our children's and our grandchildren's lives, I would tell you, no way. Heck no, don't want him around, ain't never going to be around. But that was in the past. That was the old. So there has been an event that he's came to share with our granddaughter. And he actually, I put down my pride, my ego, and put up the side of me that is, trying to go through my healing. And I extended an olive branch of inviting him to come to my home and to partake in the joy of our granddaughter. And it's going to make me cry because it's a process, to get to that point. But I did it because healing is it's hard sometimes, but when you start to realize more and more that you could do these things, like I said, you get more motivated, and so putting down the pride and the ego and doing all of that, it's because the bigger outcome there was my granddaughter and her first birthday. And knowing that, there wasn't going to be another party to be had anywhere else. My daughter was like, no, this is her party and this is what we're doing. And so I said, okay. And so I wanted him to be able to come in and share in the festivity with that, because it's a very important um, monument, or how do you say, like, not monument, but I don't know the word I'm looking for right now, but an important thing to enjoy in your life, when you can say you've lived enough to have a grandchild and to share that first birthday with them, and they've been on this earth for a year, that you can share that joy with them. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to say that, because a lot of people are on this earth are unfortunate that they can't say those things. And so when you can pull yourself past, right, when it's time for you, and you can, I invited him, and he was able to share that moment with his granddaughter and spend that time. And tell me that that would have happened years prior, and I would have told you, heck no. Probably would have laughed and been like a sarcastic laugh, like, nope, not happening. But no. And so when I see him now, I tell him hello. I don't ignore him. We don't argue. There's nothing to argue about anymore. And there's been a lot of healing for me on my part with that. And so I embrace that part of myself to continue to heal and align with that part of myself. And so seeing him is becoming more and more easy for me, and the situations in our lives, because we do share kids. We share kids. And so that's never going to go away. That's not something that just disappears with the divorce. That's, in my case, that's, we, he's, he's trying to be there and wants to be there. And, we're both there. He's dad, I'm mom to our kids. And so that's what it is. And so with that, for you guys, take that how, just apply that to know that there's hope. Can be a different outcome. And so, yeah, excuse me for getting a little bit emotional, but sometimes it rises in me and I have to release it. And that's my way. And crying is okay. For those of you that have to cry, cry. Cry. It's okay to cry. That's a form of release. And we need that. And that release is healing. There's a reason why we were designed to cry. It's very beneficial to our bodies, right? And so with that being said, thank you all so much for joining me on my channel, and I hope to see you all again on another live, and we'll see what spirit has to say and what messages have to come out and what I have further to share with you guys when it comes to my divorce. So I hope that leaves you all with a little bit of hope that there can be, things can change for the better. Okay. And it's just all about that one person, us taking ourselves out of the situation for a moment and allowing ourselves to heal and walking towards that. And that's where we can see our hope later in the future. There is always room for hope and faith and a better outcome with those things. And there's a lot of healing. And so your days are going to get better and look better. There's a lot to look forward to when we hold on to our healing, okay? And we choose to make that choice for ourselves. And so with that being said, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you have a rest of your day, night, evening, whatever. I hope it's great the rest of your time. And so thank you so much. Join me again on the next live, and bye. I'll see you soon.